I really had expected better of you people. I guess I'm a loser for that too. Don't bother showing up tomorrow. I'll just tell them you all died in a marching accident. So thanks. Thanks for nothing.
You're welcome.
What kind of monsters are we?
I recently watched one of my favorite Spongebob episodes, and many people's number one favorite episode for many good reasons. And of course, that's none other than Band Geeks. That's the episode we're going to be talking about today. Now, first of all, let the record show that I watched SpongeBob purely for research purposes. In this episode in particular, for sake of the research, it required it to be watched 5 times in a row. Again, it's a research requirement. It's just part of the business. I just want to be clear about that. But in any case, I know the episode has been talked about many times before at length, just in terms of what makes the episode great overall, the many different aspects that make it so likable and rewatchable, I suppose. This video isn't going to be that specifically. It's going to be a hopefully unique angle and lesson that I learned from watching the episode that is going to be of great use to me, has been, and will be of great use to you if you stick around and learn it for yourself. So if that's of interest to you, then stay tuned. My videos are all made for the sake of encouraging you to continue to be your best self, mainly through lessons that are rooted in biblical and Stoic principles. Now, as I summarize the story of the episode, see if you can spot a theme or repeated character trait of a specific character throughout the story. Our story opens with Squidward being greeted by a backhanded insult from some doctors. They knock on the door telling them about they heard him playing his clarinet and they said it sounds like a dying animal, essentially. So he slams the door in their face, and I understand why. He then receives a call from who's essentially his rival, Squilliam Fancy Son. Yeah, that's his actual name, Fancy Son. But it's one word, but it still doesn't take away from the fact that it's pronounced Fancy Son. Squilliam starts by making fun of Squidward like the villain he is, then begins to explain how his band is scheduled to play in the Bubble Bowl, but due to being busy, he can't make it happen. He then asks Squidward if he can cover for him, to which Squidward first panics and then fabricates a story out of thin air about his lack of a fast food job and the existence of a band of his own. Squilliam seems to have bought Squidward's story, telling him good luck and to tell the audience to bring ibuprofen. Shame on Squilliam for that joke. That was rude. All right, he gets an 8 out of 10 on the clown meter for that. Shame on you, Squilliam. Anyway.
I've got to drum up a marching band fast. Drum. Band humor.
Taking quick action, Squidward posts flyers all around town, greatly exaggerating the quality of the band he's forming, even arriving late to the practice himself.
Practice begins tonight, 8:30 sharp.
Stupid music rental clerk made me late.
At the practice, he begins by asking if anyone attending has ever played a musical instrument, to which it becomes obvious the answer is no. The percussion section even attempting to play the drums the same way you'd play a brass instrument, nearly offing Squidward in the process. And the practice goes on to be anything but traditional, as Patrick and Sandy get into a brawl after a miscommunication about the involvement of kicking within the production. Come the second day of practice, and it's just as disastrous as the first, if not more, given a couple of fish blew up an underwater blimp, if that's what that would be called. Oh my gosh. Like, even picturing the scene, it's so funny. Watch the episode for yourself again. It's like 10 minutes. The next few days of practice weren't any better, the fish even breaking all the windows in the rental facility they had been using, not to mention stirring up a brawl with each other. One antagonizing bluefish starts making fun of Mr. Krabs, to which Krabs retaliates, or at least alludes to it. But I should mention, before the fight even officially began, when everyone else had given up on their patience and self-control, SpongeBob tried to stop the incoming fight, but was quickly shut down by a little pesky fish, I suppose I'll say. Now, you've heard the saying or the advice of, if you can't beat them, join them. Okay, maybe in certain contexts of like, oh, in PE at the gym, we're not going to win, so we're just going to beat them. Okay, whatever. But in most cases, that's just giving up. Point being, SpongeBob, as I said, was trying to calm everyone down, even though, as Squidward goes on to say, tensions were high and everyone wanted to beat each other up. But he still acted with virtue. And it is an unfortunate reality that acting with virtue, let alone encouraging others to do the same, is one of the greatest ways to ensure that degenerates clown on you and start making fun of you or anything like that. I'm not entirely sure why this is. I would assume, and I don't use the word often, insecure, because it is overused and not usually used in the right context, but maybe it does have to do with some kind of insecurity. It's like, oh, you're acting virtuously. I know I should be, but I'm choosing not to. Therefore, I'm going to joke around about you. I'm not entirely sure. Let me know if you have a better idea. But nonetheless, it is your job to act virtuously in spite of what degenerates are going to make fun of you. So, and this whole scene is pretty important of SpongeBob trying to stop the incoming fight. Keeping away from strife is an honor for a man, or fish in this case, but any fool will quarrel. If possible, so far as it depends on you, be at peace with all people. Don't misconstrue peace to mean praising the every crazy action of an individual, but in a general sense, I think you understand what the verse means. Squidward likewise tried to calm everyone down, but also to no avail.
I know tensions are high. Take that!
So the fish go on to batter each other continuously, even breaking the instruments that Squidward rented by smashing each other with them, continuing up until the bell rings.
Hey, class is over.
Okay, see you tomorrow.
Now, I understand that there can pretty easily grow resentment and frustration after being with the same group of people for a long period of time, let alone every night in a single week. But it's insane what these people did. Not only to get it, like, these are adults, you know, and I don't want to go too deep into how the fish behaved, but I think it's worth pointing out. Like, that's insane what they did. They didn't only beat each other up, but as I said, they destroyed the instruments that Squidward had rented. After all, like, this is on Squidward's time and his money. It was all on him. And what did they do? They essentially spat in his face. And with all that being the case, Squidward then expresses his justified disappointment to all the fish right before heading home, stating, "You took my one chance at happiness and crushed it. Crushed it into little tiny bite-sized pieces. I really had expected better of you people. I guess I'm a loser for that too. Don't bother showing up tomorrow. I'll just tell them you all died in a marching accident. So thanks for nothing." Again, I would like to reiterate that it's very much justified for Squidward to be so upset. Not just because of them fighting right then and there, but from them being difficult throughout the week and just things going awry that Squidward hadn't really accounted for. And once again, it's all on Squidward's time and money. But when all hope seemed lost, SpongeBob then spoke up once again. He first off even cared about Squidward enough to think to speak up for him once he gave up and left. In other words, he didn't give up on Squidward, even though he had given up on himself in a way. He then encouraged all the fish, even if in a long shot and unlikely manner, encouraging everyone to imagine that Squidward was this heroic figure that had helped them out in the past. Now, I said that it's unlikely this would actually work and would actually encourage people, and it's a long shot that he tried this method. But doing anything great or noble is in some respects always unlikely, or is in some roundabout way a long shot. To assume that people are going to act virtuously or be encouraged, you are using some amount of faith for that. But that being the case, again, acting virtuously is always worth it, so don't let that stop you, the fact that it seems unlikely to work. So again, even after Squidward had given up on himself, and all the fish had given up on Squidward and on the whole project, SpongeBob hadn't. He didn't give up. He then put in the effort to train these largely musically untalented and distracted fish to learn their parts in one night. Come the next morning, and Squidward relays to Squilliam the story he had thought about.
I just hope that Squilliam doesn't find out! Squilliam! Ah! So, where's your band? They couldn't come. They died.
Then who's that?
That would
SpongeBob was able to rally all the fish to the right place at the right time to then execute their parts perfectly. Again, even after everyone else had previously given up. The fish then performed a little number they had practiced. Okay, little number, that's quite the understatement. They flawlessly execute their rendition of what I assume is called Sweet Victory. Quickly noticing how well the band execute their parts for the song that they had learned, Squidward is remarkably pleased. And then the freeze frame of Squidward being happy for a change at the end of an episode marks the end of what is widely accepted as at least one of the best SpongeBob episodes, if not the best. Many people's favorite, as I said. So before explaining the story, I told you to try to notice a theme, a recurring trait or action taken by an individual. As much as it's clear Squidward is the main character of this episode in terms of who we're focusing on, I'd say the real star, it's SpongeBob. Because even after Squidward's efforts, as I said, making the time, buying everything, putting up the flyers, first printing them off, and then, what's interesting about this show is there are a lot of things that just kind of happen that you might not always think about. Oh, this implies that there was work put into, as I pointed out, making these flyers, renting this stuff, renting this facility. So even after Squidward had put in all the work, and really, on his part, I don't know if there was really anything else he could have done better given his situation. He put in all his effort and it really didn't work out. He had given up, everyone gave up, but at that point, SpongeBob, as I said earlier, he had spoken up and noticed it's like, wow, Squid put in all this effort and we essentially turned our backs on him by not even trying and by acting like children, by beating each other up with the instruments he rented. So he didn't give up on him. It's one thing to believe in someone anyway. That's commendable in and of itself. But then to act on that belief you have, that faith, that's exceptional. In the same way, faith also, if it has no works, is dead, being by itself. So again, the point being, you prove your faith by acting on it, and that's what SpongeBob did. I've been working on this video for a few days now, and as I was thinking about it last night, even just as I was falling asleep, essentially, I thought of the line SpongeBob says,
Squidward's always been there for us when it was convenient for him.
And yeah, that's pretty accurate, but not entirely, because I couldn't help but think about the Christmas special where Squidward had become Santa for SpongeBob and given away, as he said, he gave away all his stuff just so SpongeBob wouldn't feel sad. That was anything but convenient. So in most cases, yeah, perhaps he only does what's convenient for him. But I mean, talk about this episode. It was anything but convenient to drum up a marching band, as he said. I just thought it was an important comparison and point to notice. So to reiterate, the lesson is to be like SpongeBob in this case and don't give up on your friends, family, whatever mission it might be that you're working towards, even when everyone else has given up. Then you be the one to even confuse people with your kindness and your hope, your passion for the project, and to simply be your best self. Now use this idea on a case-by-case basis, because there are some times when it's like literally there is no way around this and we're going to waste efforts by trying it this way, whatever you're striving for. Maybe there is a better way to go about it, or maybe it is a lost cause altogether. But that being the case, oftentimes all it takes is for even one individual to remain encouraged and to inspire hope within other people for the greater end of whatever the mission is you're striving for. And just think about how this episode would have gone had SpongeBob, one person, not spoken up. Squidward would have left. Well, as he did, he left the place they rented. All the fish would have gone home, and that would have sucked. But just imagine the lifelong effect that this experience would have on Squidward, even just one time. As I said, it's kind of a rare thing for him to end on a good note, like for an episode to end on a good note in regards to Squidward. But this one experience for him, thanks to his efforts, as well as SpongeBob not giving up on him, it probably would have, as I said, a lifelong positive effect on him. I'm sure there have been and will be instances in your life where by you not giving up on someone, it could have a lifelong impact on them. So keep that in mind. I hope that all makes sense, and I sincerely hope it helps you in some way. So apply it today and wherever and whenever applicable. Also, check out my previous video talking about Roderick from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. It's a lesson from Roderick Rules about... Actually, you know what? I'm not going to tell you. You'll just have to watch it to find out for yourself. But it's a fun video if I do say so myself. And I do. Yeah, so check that out. Also, watch I have a video about the Christmas special from SpongeBob if you're more interested in that. So check that out as well, or instead. Yeah, preferably as well. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. Remember to treat others the way that you want to be treated, and to love God and love your neighbor, and therefore you will continue to be your best self. Again, thank you for watching, and as always, it's an